Chosen ones, listen carefully, because what I'm about to say is not casual and it is not random. There is a weight in this moment, a pressure in the spirit, a sense that time itself has leaned forward to watch what you will do next. You have felt it even if you couldn't explain it. That restless feeling in your chest, that urgency that shows up when everything around you seems quiet, that pull that won't let you stay comfortable any longer. Heaven is speaking, and it is saying this: your breakthrough is ready, but the door does not stay open forever. There is a window, and it is narrowing right now. You didn't come this far by accident. You didn't survive what should destroyed you just to end up standing still. There were nights you cried alone, days you questioned your calling, seasons where it felt like nothing was moving no matter how hard you prayed. But what you didn't realize is that while it looked like nothing was happening, everything was aligning. Delays were not denials. Silence was not absence. God was positioning you for a moment that requires precision, courage, and obedience without hesitation. Some of you have been waiting for a sign, but the sign is the urgency you feel right now. That sense that if you don't move soon, you'll miss something you may not get another chance to touch. This is not meant to scare you, but to wake you up. There are doors that open because you knocked, and there are doors that open because heaven decided the timing was right. But once they open, you must step through. Faith that hesitates too long can watch miracles pass by. You've been prepared in ways you didn't even notice. Every rejection sharpened you. Every closed door taught you discernment. Every betrayal trained you to hear God's voice instead of relying on human approval. You thought those seasons were punishment, but they were training grounds. You were being built for something that requires strength on the inside, not just talent on the outside. And now the moment is near where what's inside of you is about to be tested by opportunity. There are people who will never understand the pressure you feel because they are not called to what you are called to. They can sleep comfortably in delay. They can live peacefully in cycles, but you can't. Every time you try to settle, something in you resists. That's because chosen ones are not designed for stagnation. You were created for movement, for impact, for moments that shift not just your life, but the lives of others connected to you. Right now, heaven is not asking if you are talented enough. That question was settled long ago. Heaven is asking if you are ready to move without all the details, ready to say yes before you feel fully confident, ready to trust that obedience activates what understanding cannot. Some of you are still waiting to feel ready, but readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. There is a door in front of you that looks ordinary on the outside. It doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't come with thunder or fireworks. It comes disguised as an instruction, a nudge, a quiet push to do something you've been postponing. Make the call, send the message, apply again, walk away, start over, speak up, let go, step forward. And because it looks small, you've underestimated it. But what you don't see is that this door leads to rooms you've been praying about for years. Time matters in this season, not because God is limited, but because timing is part of the miracle. Missed moments don't always come back in the same form. That's why the urgency is real. That's why procrastination feels heavier than usual. That's why distractions seem louder than ever. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you if he can delay you. He doesn't need to stop the breakthrough if he can make you hesitate long enough for the door to close. You've been asking God to move, but heaven is waiting on your response. There is a partnership required in this season. Grace opens the door, but faith walks through it. And faith does not argue with instructions. Faith does not wait for applause. Faith moves even when the heart is pounding and the hands are shaking. Especially then, some of you are holding on to what is familiar because it feels safe, but familiar does not mean fruitful. Comfort can become a cage if you stay too long. You already know what this place produces. You already know how far this version of obedience takes you. That inner tension you feel is proof that you've outgrown where you are. And when growth demands movement, staying still becomes disobedience. Heaven says, don't skip this moment. Don't scroll past it. Don't dismiss it as just another message. There is something being activated in you right now as you listen. A clarity you've been praying for is beginning to form. A decision you've been avoiding is being brought back to the surface. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation. You are closer than you think. The breakthrough is not across the world or years away. It is on the other side of one brave step, one act of obedience, one moment of trust. The reason the pressure feels intense is because the payoff is significant. Doors that lead to small things don't require this level of resistance. But doors that change direction, legacy, and identity are always guarded by fear, doubt, and urgency. You've been through enough to know that. God does not waste pain. Every tear you cried watered the ground you were about to step onto. Every prayer you whispered in exhaustion was recorded. And now the answer is not coming as relief first, but as responsibility. Blessings at this level come with weight. They come with accountability. They come with the requirement that you rise to meet them. Right now, heaven is watching not your perfection, but your willingness. Will you move even though your voice trembles? Will you obey even though you don't have guarantees? Will you trust even though the clock feels loud in your ears? This is the kind of faith that opens doors that no enemy can shut. Some of you have been thinking the door already closed because of past mistakes. But hear this clearly, the countdown you feel is not condemnation, it is invitation. Mercy is still in the room. Grace is still holding the door. But indecision is dangerous in moments like this. You cannot keep circling what God has already placed in front of you. You were chosen for moments like this, moments where courage must speak louder than fear, where obedience must outrun logic, where trust must override comfort. This is why your journey has been intense. This is why you couldn't fit in. This is why ordinary paths never satisfied you. You were being prepared for a door that only opens for those who are willing to move when heaven speaks quickly. And right now, heaven is speaking quickly. There is a reason your spirit feels alert right now, like something is counting down even if no clock is visible. You are sensing spiritual timing, and that sensitivity didn't come from nowhere. It was cultivated through endurance, through waiting when others quit, through believing when nothing around you agreed with what God spoke over your life. That sensitivity is a gift. And in moments like this, it becomes a warning and an invitation at the S. Amen time. You've reached a point where delay is no longer neutral. Before, waiting was part of the process. Before, patience was building character. But now, hesitation can quietly turn into disobedience if you're not careful. This is not the season to keep asking, what if? This is the season to ask, what if I don't? What if you don't move? What if you don't answer the call? What if you let fear decide for you one more time? That question should unsettle you more than the fear of stepping forward. You have prayed for confirmation, but confirmation has been following you for weeks. It's been showing up in repeated thoughts, in unexpected conversations, in scriptures that want to leave you alone, in opportunities that keep circling back even after you ignored them. God does not shout to chosen ones, he repeats himself. And repetition is heaven's way of saying, pay attention, this matters. Some of you are standing at the edge of something new, but you keep looking back at what you're about to leave. You're measuring the future by the losses you might face instead of the purpose you might fulfill. But hear this clearly, what God is asking you to release cannot compare to what he's preparing to place in your hands. The weight you're afraid of. Dropping is nothing compared to the weight of the assignment ahead of you. You've already proven you can survive without what you're clinging to. You've done hard seasons before. You've walked through loneliness, confusion, and spiritual warfare that nearly broke you. And yet you're still here. That means you are stronger than you think. That means you're more capable than your fear suggests. That means heaven would not be urging you forward if you were not equipped for what's next. Right now, the door in front of you is testing your trust. It's not asking if you believe in God, it's asking if you believe God. There's a diff. Errance. Believing in God is comfortable. Believing God requires movement. It requires action before clarity. It requires obedience before applause. And that is where many people stop. They want reassurance without risk. They want blessing without surrender. But chosen ones are not called to shallow faith. You've been asking God to remove the fear, but fear is not being removed because courage is being activated. Courage doesn't mean the fear disappears. Courage means you move anyway. And every step you take in obedience weakens fear's voice. Every moment you choose faith over comfort, the door opens wider, even if you can't see it yet. There are things tied to your obedience that you may never personally benefit from, but others will. That's another reason the urgency is strong. Your breakthrough is connected to people who are waiting on the other side of your yes. Your healing, your elevation, your movement forward unlocks answers for others who don't even know your name yet. And heaven is serious about assignments that involve impact beyond self. You've noticed how distractions have increased, how suddenly everything seems urgent except what God has been nudging you to do. That's not coincidence. When a door is about to open, resistance intensifies. The enemy knows he cannot cancel what God has approved, but he can attempt to exhaust you, confuse you, or keep you busy with things that feel productive but lead nowhere. Busyness can be just as dangerous as sin in seasons like this. Some of you are overthinking the step because you want it to be perfect, but perfection is not required. Obedience is. God adjusts direction while you're moving, not while you're frozen. Waiting for the perfect moment often means missing the appointed one. The door you're facing opens when you move toward it, not when you analyze it endlessly. You are not behind. That thought is a lie, meant to weaken your confidence. You are on time for this moment, even if it doesn't feel like it. God's timing does not operate on your regrets or comparisons. It operates on readiness. And readiness is not about having everything together. It's about being willing to trust him with what you don't. You've been underestimated before, and that taught you humility. You've been overlooked before, and that taught you resilience. You've been misunderstood before, and that taught you clarity about who God is versus who people think you are. All of that was preparation. Nothing was wasted. And now the season requires you to stop shrinking yourself to fit places you've outgrown. This door you're facing is not for everyone. That's why others don't feel the urgency you feel. That's why they can afford to wait. That's why they don't understand why you can't just relax. Your calling comes with a different pace. When heaven moves, you feel it first. And when heaven pauses, you feel that too. Trust that sensitivity. It is not anxiety, it is alignment. You may be tempted to ask God for one more sign, one more confirmation, one more push. But sometimes the push is the pressure itself. Sometimes the discomfort is the instruction. Sometimes the restlessness is heaven saying, this is the moment you've been praying for, now move. You don't need to see the entire path. You only need to take the next step. Light is released step by step, not all at once. That's how faith stays alive. If God showed you everything at once, you'd rely on sight instead of trust. And this next season requires deep trust, the kind that keeps walking even when the road feels unfamiliar. There are versions of you that cannot go where God is taking you. Old mindsets, old attachments, old habits of doubting yourself every time opportunity appears. This door is not just about access, it's about identity. Who you choose to be on the other side will require you to leave behind who you were in survival mode. You're no longer just surviving. That season is ending. And sometimes the hardest transition is not from failure to success, but from survival to responsibility. Success demands stewardship. It demands maturity. It demands consistency. And heaven would not be calling you forward if you were not capable of carrying what comes next. The countdown you feel is not meant to rush you into panic, but to sharpen your focus, to strip away distractions, to clarify priorities, to remind you that moments matter. You don't have to be frantic, but you cannot be passive. Calm obedience is what this moment requires. You've already delayed long enough questioning your worth, long enough asking if you deserve what God promised. Grace does not ask permission from insecurity. God's choice was not based on your perfection, but on His purpose. And His purpose still stands, even when your confidence wavers. Right now, heaven is inviting you into alignment, into flow, into a season where effort meets favor, but alignment requires agreement. You must agree with what God says about you, even when your feelings argue. You must agree with the timing, even when it feels inconvenient. You must agree to move, even when comfort begs you to stay. You are not being asked to leap blindly, only to step faithfully. The door does not require you to run, only to respond. And once you respond, momentum will meet you. Provision will catch up. Clarity will increase. Strength will rise. This moment will not announce itself again in the same way. That's why it feels intense. That's why it feels personal. That's why it feels now. You are standing between what was and what will be, and the only thing separating the two is your decision to move. Heaven is quiet right now, not because it has stopped speaking, because it has already said enough. The instruction has been given. The preparation has been completed. The invitation is open. And the only remaining question is not whether God is ready, but whether you are willing to step forward while the door is still open. There is a sacred seriousness hovering over this moment, and it's not meant to overwhelm you, but to awaken you. You are not imagining the shift. Something has changed in the atmosphere around your life. The same routines no longer satisfy you. The same excuses no longer comfort you. The same delays no longer feel harmless. That is because you have entered a window where awareness itself is a responsibility. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you sense the timing, you cannot pretend it isn't there. You have carried a promise longer than most people could tolerate. And because of that, you learned how to function while waiting. You learned how to smile while wondering. You learned how to encourage others while secretly questioning when it would finally be your turn. But the danger of long waiting seasons is that they can teach you how to survive delay so well that you forget how to respond to movement. Heaven is interrupting that survival mode right now. You are not being punished for past hesitation, but you are being confronted with present responsibility. God is not angry with you, but He is intentional. This is not about pressure for pressure's sake. This is about precision. Certain blessings require exact timing. Certain doors are aligned with specific seasons, and if they are not entered when open, they do not remain suspended indefinitely. Not because God is cruel, but because growth requires motion. Some of you have been negotiating with God, saying, just give me a little more time. But what you don't realize is that time has already been given. Grace extended, mercy renewed, opportunities repeated. This moment didn't arrive suddenly, it arrived intentionally. It came after enough preparation had taken place. It came after your character was tested. It came after your motives were refined. It came after your dependence shifted from people to God alone. The fear you feel is not a sign you are unready. It is a sign you are standing at the edge of something larger than your comfort zone. Small doors do not intimidate like this. Ordinary decisions do not stir your spirit like this. This is the kind of moment that stretches you because it introduces responsibility that will require consistency, not just excitement. You've been asking God to confirm your calling, but calling is confirmed through movement, not meditation. It is revealed as you obey. It becomes clearer as you walk. You will not think your way into courage. You must move your way into it. And every step forward silences another lie that told you you weren't enough. There is also a reason you felt isolated lately. Fewer people understand you. Fewer voices seem helpful. That is because this decision cannot be crowdsourced. It must be discerned. God has reduced the noise so you can hear him clearly. And now that you hear him, you are accountable for how you respond. You are not late, but you cannot linger. There is a difference. God redeems time, but he does not endorse complacency. You are still within reach of what was promised. But reach implies effort, it implies extension, it implies movement toward what God has placed ahead of you. Some of you are afraid that if you step through this door and fail, it will confirm every fear you've ever had about yourself. But hear this, obedience cannot fail. Outcomes are God's responsibility. Your responsibility is response. You are not measured by results in heaven, but by faithfulness. And faithfulness is choosing to move even when success is not due. Guaranteed. You've been protected more than you realize. Doors closed before you got hurt. Relationships ended before they drained you. Delays slowed you down before pride could ruin you. That same protection is guiding you now, not away from this door, but through it. God is not leading you into harm, he is leading you into growth. You are not stepping alone. Even if it feels that way, heaven is involved. Angels respond to obedience. Favor responds to alignment. Strength responds to surrender. You may feel weak emotionally, but spiritually you are positioned. And spiritual positioning carries power that emotion cannot measure. The urgency you feel is also mercy. It is heaven saying, don't miss what you prayed for, because it arrived differently than you expected. Many people miss their breakthrough not because it never comes, but because it doesn't look like what they imagined. It arrives as responsibility instead of relief, as discipline instead of rest, as instruction instead of celebration. You have been conditioned to expect ease as a sign of blessing, but some blessings arrive wrapped in challenge because they are meant to grow you. God is not just answering your prayers, he is shaping your future capacity. What you step into now will require more wisdom, more discipline, more consistency than anything you've handled before, and that is why this moment matters. There is also a pruning happening internally. Things you once tolerated now irritate you. Habits you once excused now convict you. That is not condemnation, it is elevation. You cannot carry old patterns into new places. This door requires a lighter load. Not because God wants to restrict you, but because what's ahead demands agility and focus. You've been asking why things felt heavy lately, why joy felt mixed with pressure, why peace came with urgency. It's because you are standing at a threshold. Thresholds are uncomfortable because they require you to leave what you know before fully stepping into what you don't. That space feels unstable, but it is temporary. Stability returns after obedience. You are not losing anything of value by moving forward. What falls away in this season was already misaligned. What remains will be refined. What is added will be necessary. Trust the process, even when it requires release. Heaven is not counting down to threaten. It is counting down to focus you, to bring clarity to what matters most, to strip away excuses, to remind you that life is not passive and calling is not automatic. It is responded to. You are not being rushed into recklessness. You are being invited into readiness. There is a difference. Recklessness ignores wisdom. Readiness responds to instruction. And the instruction has been clear enough for you to feel it without hearing every detail. This is not about striving harder. It is about agreeing quicker, aligning faster, trusting deeper. The door opens when your will aligns with God's will, not when you feel emotionally prepared. You've been strong for so long that vulnerability feels dangerous. But this next step will require you to trust God in a way that exposes your dependence on him. That is not weakness, that is maturity. Mature faith does not pretend to be self-sufficient. Some of you are worried about how others will react when you move, but obedience often looks strange to people who don't hear what you hear. You are not called to be understood by everyone. You are called to be obedient to God. And understanding often follows obedience, not precedes it. The moment you step through this door, certain battles will end. Not because life becomes easy, but because alignment brings peace that confusion never could. You will still face challenges, but you won't face constant internal resistance. Your spirit will know you are where you're supposed to be. You've outgrown the season of waiting for permission. You don't need approval from people who never carried the weight you carry. You don't need validation from voices that weren't present in your darkest nights. God's instruction is sufficient. This is the season where faith becomes visible, where belief turns into behavior, where prayer turns into action. And that transition always feels uncomfortable because it exposes whether you truly trust God or just enjoy the idea of trusting Him. Heaven is not asking for perfection, only participation. Not mastery, only movement. Not certainty, only surrender. And as you move, what feels heavy now will become lighter. What feels confusing now will become clear. Or what feels urgent now will become purposeful. You are standing in a moment that will later make sense. Right now, it requires trust. Later, it will produce testimony. But testimony begins with obedience that no one applauds. The door is still open. The invitation still stands. The pressure you feel is not to crush you, but to propel you. And what you choose in this window will echo far beyond this moment, shaping not only where you go next, but who you become as you go. Chosen ones, this is where the decision becomes real. Not tomorrow, not when fear quiets down, not when every question is answered, but now, in this moment where heaven has drawn your attention and asked for your response. You have heard enough, you have felt enough, you know enough. What remains is not more information, but obedience. The door you've been standing in front of has not been teasing you, it has been waiting for you. And when you move, you won't be stepping into chaos, you'll be stepping into alignment. Remember this: when doubt tries to return, God does not rush what He hasn't prepared, and He does not invite what He cannot sustain. If the door opened, provision is already assigned. If the instruction came, strength is already available. You are not walking into this alone. You are not walking into it unprotected. Heaven backs what heaven initiates. The same God who carried you through confusion will carry you through clarity. The same God who sustained you in waiting will establish you in movement. So rise with quiet courage. Move with steady faith. Let your yes be firm, even if your voice shakes. Years from now, you will look back on this moment and realize it was not pressure trying to break you, but purpose calling you forward. The door did not close on you, it opened for you. And the moment you step through, what felt urgent will become intentional, what felt heavy will become meaningful, and what felt uncertain will become the very ground where your breakthrough finally begins.